Folks, welcome to an all-new episode of So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Thursday episode. We are doing an episode 2, The Valley recap. You thought episode 1 was scary. Well, get ready to get knocked off your coal mining asses because this got 10 times scarier in this episode. This got so scary at times where I was like, I'm not having fun anymore. Like, make me a bird so I can fly far, far away. This wasn't good, you guys. This is very scary. Like, this is one of those shows where you're like, oh, I hope eventually nobody has to watch this in court one day. Like, all the signs were there kind of vibes. So we have a lot to talk about. There's a lot of funny moments. It's just wild. And you know what? Like, I feel like I'm getting gaslit by this show because I keep going like, oh, well, he's got to be okay. Like, why does everybody keep talking to Jax if he's that bad of a guy? And I'm trying to make excuses for him. And then every time he opens his mouth, he does himself a huge disservice because you end up going like, what? Still real. It's even worse. Like, you just should have kept your mouth shut. Oh, God, you guys. Anyways, we're going to get into every nook and cranny. How are you? Are you good? Man, tomorrow's Friday, so this is crack a cool one. You're almost there, baby. I got a couple of show announcements really quick. I wanted to give a big shout out to baddie Jessica Tanner, who just signed up over on the Patreon. Thank you, Jessica. Also, I do Cameo, and this is great. I wanted to give a big happy birthday to Taylor from me, mainly me, but also your buddy Alan. I sent you a cameo that you should be getting today, but also happy birthday. I said I would say it on the show, so here I am saying it on the show. I wore a bonnet in her cameo video, so I hope that didn't scare you too much on your birthday. And by the way, Taylor, you better be doing a cameo for my birthday on Friday. Did you guys all pitch in and get me something nice? I hope so. That would be if everybody can put in $1, I can buy a house. That would be if you guys all go in for a house, like on a house, like not Jax's house. I don't want to live there, but just like a nice, like a shed with like a lake or something. Anyways, that's great. Yeah, Patreon. I did the first episode of the Valley after show. So Peacock does this thing. And at first you're like, oh, that's stupid. I don't want to watch that. But then it's actually pretty good. They do these after shows where they bring all the cast around like a month or two before the season premieres and they have them talk about that episode. And the first episode was like 38 minutes long. The new one is like 28 minutes long, but there was so much insanely good information and Jax lies so many times. Like, you get to see Tom Schwarz, like Tom Schwarz is paired up in an interview with Jax and Jesse Lally, and you can just see Schwarz staring off into the distance, full PTSD from Scandival, going like, how did my life get like this? Like, Jax will say something and you'll just look at Schwarz and he's just looking off to the side going like, get me out of here. This is too much. I can't do this again. It's well worth your time, but I've been recapping those over on the Patreon, so I'm going to do episode 2 over there as well. I think those are. Oh no, we've got a couple of other things. The reason why I brought up the after show, I do want to talk about this. There is. So, spoiler alert, at the end of this episode, I don't know why I sound so cheery about it, Jax finally goes to a mental health facility. And we do find out that that drugs and alcohol were a part of that, on top of, all the mental stuff he's had going on, probably in his head since he was a kid. And he goes to a mental health facility. Now, on the after show, Jason Caperna says, Janet's husband says, I was the one that had to drive him there. And he did not expect to go that day. Like, it was already in the works, but he didn't know he was going to go that day. And so Jason said, I asked, what do you need? And he said, you know what? I actually do need something. And it turns out, I knew this. I've known this. And if you listen to the show, a couple years ago, I talked about this. Jax Taylor is an authorized eBay seller. Hey, no shame in his game, man. Get money where you can get it. The Kardashians had Kardashian Closet. Jax can have his Jax's junk. It's all good in the hood. But he has a Jax's Closet, Jax's junk. That's not what it's called. but he has an eBay page where he lists a bunch of his personal items. But Jason said he also will like, you'll go to these like parties, you guys, and they'll give you like a little grab bag, not a grab bag, but like a little swag bag. And it'll have like makeup in it sometimes. Like I was just at that Jeff Lewis event and I came home with like nice makeup and stuff. Well, I guess Jax will take this and he'll sell it on his eBay. And so he wanted Jason that day, like he was going into rehab, but he's like, yeah, I kind of need you to mail this mascara to this girl that he was selling on his eBay page. I just think that's why, but also, isn't that what you want from an eBay authorized seller? Is somebody that even if they're going to rehab, they're still concerned about getting you the mascara in a timely fashion. I think I'm trying to find ways to compliment Jax. I think that is a very kind thing when you should be really focused on you. You're thinking about other people in the mascara. So but I did know this years ago. Oh God. And by the way, this story I want to point out makes me look sad. And I also remember I am critical of all of these people, but I'm the most critical of myself. Like all of these people, very dark energy, but at the same time, I'm the darkest. I'm the one that deserves to be made fun of the most, okay? So we can all accept that as a family and move on. Now, anywho, I, have been collecting mementos for my reality show museum, and we've specified that more. We've drilled down on it a bit more over the past month. It's going to be a reality star museum of broken relationships and broken dreams. I think it's good to have a theme. And a couple years ago, I found out, I don't know how I found out, I don't know who tipped me off, but I found out that Jax Taylor had an eBay account. And I was like, I got to check out what this guy has. There might be something good for my museum in there. And he did. And his name was Jaxta, Jaxta -22, I want to say. And I did a whole video on this years ago. I couldn't find the video and I was just too lazy to keep scrolling. He had like tons of cool shit, like a lot of 80s toys. So he had like 80s toys in their packaging, a lot of cool clothes. But some of these weren't deals. Like he had this really nice framed Anthony Bourdain painting and it was like $1,000. And I was like, get the fuck out of town. Are you fucking kidding me? What? So I couldn't afford that. And there was a couple of items I was debating between, but I'm also like budget friendly. And there was an item in the $40 range that I was like, this kind of has my name all over it. I thought it was amusing. It also, I don't know, it spoke to me and I won and I didn't win. You can just buy it outright. But I get it mailed to me, and I will tell you, Jax has very nice handwriting. Very nice handwriting. And do you want me to show you what I got you? What I got? Okay. This is great. This is no joke. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll be able to see it. I got Jax Taylor's old Rambo Lunchbox from the 80s. Yep, that's Sylvester Stallone with a bazooka. Rambo! Arrgh! That's right, folks. I have Jax Taylor's used lunchbox. When I opened it up originally, there was a pair of panties and a baby wipe. And I don't know where that came from, but I got those out of there. But I own Jax Taylor's Rambo lunchbox. And yeah, I know that makes me potentially sad, the sad one in this whole mess. But this thing is just going to, in the 2 years since I bought this has to at least be worth $42 now. This is, screw your 401k. This is my 401k right here. Every time Jax's name is in the news, this thing goes up in value at least 25 cents. That's right. I bet I'm going to get messages today making offers for this lunchbox. When I filmed that Valley Van commercial with them the other week, I was debating. I was like, should I as a memento of peace, give him back his Rambo lunchbox? But then I just knew he was going to sell it on eBay again. So then, I haven't checked his eBay since then. And then today, when I watched the after show and they talked about this, I went to his eBay, couldn't find that Jaxta-22 anymore. So then I went to my purchases and he changed the name. You can go back into your purchase history, and I did, and he changed his name, probably because the heat was on, and he changed it to something that is definitely not Jax Taylor. And I will read you, he has a pretty good eBay rating. If you guys are familiar with eBay at all, you can rate, the service on eBay, and keep things positive. These are some of the reviews. Now, he has a 97.4% positive feedback with 381 people that gave reviews. So overall, that is a full-on A, right? But there were a couple of people that had, just some tips. This user says, item was shipped 3 weeks after I paid. Listing and photo showed a brand new jacket with the tag still intact. The seller messaged me saying he took the tags off, and when I told him I didn't want it anymore, he still shipped it out. Here's another one. I got exactly what I paid for, and it was exactly as described. If I had a complaint, it would be that it took the seller 8 days to ship what I bought. When I sent a message and asked what was going on, I got no response. Okay, so this one is just saying better communication. But overall, this is great. I mean, this is what we want him on, like positive, business-minded things. I will say there is a couple of things that are still on here 2 years later. So this guy just puts this on there. There's a $740 8x10 drawing of Bill Murray, but it's signed by Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. It's a framed 8x10. And it's a cartoon drawing, but $740. Like Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd, amazing actors, but $740 for an 8x10? Yeah, it's too rich for my blood. But I got the Rambo Lunchbox, so no need. We're good. Okay, so even though the Valley has its own theme song, and we got to see the title sequence for the first time. The first episode didn't have it, but we got to see everybody, their little title cards. And Jax no longer was with Brittany, and Jax is paired up with Jesse Lally, which we'll talk about. Now, the theme song for the Valley, it's like, I'm all right. Everything is all right. Everything is not all right. Everything is so far from all right. And that's what makes the theme song so funny. It's like, everything is no, nothing is ever going to be right again. The Valley is a dark, sweaty hellhole. Nothing is all right. The sun is shining, but nothing else is shining in this universe. So since it is Thursday and since the Valley theme song will not get us to the proper levels of pump that we need, we will be dancing to Raise Your Glass by Dina Deadly, which is the Vanderpump Rules theme song. They are now in their second week of filming the reboot. So let's all get on our feet and make it happen. Here we go. One sec. Boom. Ooh. I want to ride a horse to this. Line up. I'm a robot. All you need is love in the boombox to make this road rock and bump to the rooftops. I feel like I'm on Jersey Shore, fist pumping. Let's go. Woo! These are the best days. And over in the Valley, we just got, it's all right. Everything is all right. I'm all right. Like, there's no comparison. What is that saying to the younger generation? Is that once you move to the Valley, everything just slows down completely, and all of a sudden you have like almost like a country tinge song? Like, why can't we fist pump in the Valley? Anywho, let's start the show after this quick break. Okay, The Valley Season 2, Episode 2. This season is not, there's no suffering of a sophomore slump in terms of this episode or even this season so far. They've set up a lot of interesting storylines, even aside from Jax, because remember, he will be now in this facility for allegedly 30 days, which, by the way, shout out to Brittany for holding up the allegedly sign. I love that the rest of the season, everybody's just going to keep saying allegedly. Because if you say allegedly, you can literally say anything else after it. Like, allegedly, aliens flew out of Jax's butt in the second episode. You can say anything with the word allegedly in there, which they definitely point out in this episode. Now, there's a famous director. This is what, by the way, I watch trash like this, and then I have to go read insanely, I have to study like intelligent people just to like kind of take a Silkwood shower after watching things like The Valley. So then I'll go read a biography on Mike Nichols. Now, Mike Nichols was a famous director. He passed away, I believe, in like 2014. This book, Mike Nichols, The Life by Paul Harris, came out like 4 or 5 years ago. And I finally read it this week. I'd always wanted to read it. This dude started off in theater as an actor, then started directing plays for Neil Simon back in the 60s. And then he actually switched to film directing, did Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with Elizabeth Taylor, and then right after that followed it up with The Graduate by Dustin Hoffman. He had the most amazing career, always stayed like 1 foot in the theater, directing amazing theatrical productions throughout his career, but also had a very successful career in film directing as well. But he said, I was watching a documentary about him after I read this book, and he said this really great thing about any kind of scene that you see in film or TV, but I think it also holds for reality TV. He says there's only 3 types of scenes in anything that you see: seductions, negotiations, and fights. Think about that. Seductions, negotiations, and fights. So every scene that you see in any movie or TV show, it's usually about one of those things, right? So like you see all 3 of these with Jax in this episode. There's seducing of like, come on, I'm not that bad. No, come on. There's negotiations. Well, what if I only did this? Well, $30,000 to go to, and then there's fights. You ain't no angel either, sweetheart. Yeah, I had a girl over here because you slept with Julian, my bestest friend in the whole, we were blood brothers. So I wanted to say that, but I also just wanted to let you guys know I don't just watch reality TV. I am getting the help I need by trying to read above a Valley reading level. Okay. So this episode is called Checking In, which, by the way, great title, because it's also checking in with these characters, but also Jax is checking in to a mental health facility, right? And the description the cable company gives us says Jax's life comes under tough scrutiny as he's confronted about his recent behavior. The amazing thing about that show description is that you could legitimately put it in the first 8 seasons of Vanderpump Rules, and you could be like, oh, yeah, it's obviously season 5. Oh, no, we're obviously watching season 4. No, this is season 2 of The Valley, and it still works. You could copy and paste that description and put it on any episode of Vanderpump Rules, and you'd be like, oh, yeah, this is the good one with Jax. Like, this has been happening since 2013. And I think that's what makes it so dark. And I do wonder if production sometimes had that conversation after they filmed all of this of like, is it too dark? Should we add in more fun kind of bouncy music? Like, we should have everybody visit clowns or like have more balloons. Because it is really dark to think about this dude been going through this since 2013. Now, he is the captain of his own ship. He is in charge of this. And yes, he has said time and time again that he is a work in progress, blah, 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 blah. He's been offered therapy. I remember the season that Randall offered to pay for his therapy, and he just never showed up, according to Lala at that one Zoom reunion. So there has been a lot of help offered. Now, I do want people to steer away from like, I'm seeing some things, and I said this to Sophie on Monday, of like, oh, Brittany knew what she was getting in for. Like, guys, come on. Like that at this point, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that is such a waste of energy to hate on Brittany right now. Like, I feel like she went out, got a new place. She's taking care of their son. I mean, she seems to be bending over backwards. And I do want to point out, just because Jax did get ahead of what he knew was already filmed on this season of The Valley. This episode, they do bring up the cocaine use. I don't even think I have to say allegedly. That is now fully admitted to. But he did manage to get ahead of it by going on the executive producer Alex Baskin's podcast, the Hot Mic podcast, not once, but twice. And on the first time, like he went through all of these things that he has been going through. Now, on the second time that he just went on like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, or however long it was, remember this place that he goes to, he came out, he did the podcast, said everything's good. He had to go back in November of 2024 a second time. And if you listen to that, it's all in the Hot Mic podcast, which I believe we did I walked you through those full episodes on an episode of So Bad It's Good. But he said he didn't stay for the full 30 days the second time. And I have to go back and check, but I don't know if he made it the full 30 days the first time, even though it was $30,000. That is a lot of cameos. That is a lot of cameos. And I do understand that as a big chunk of change, but as people, I mean, Kristen Dodie, she is the voice. How did Kristen Dodie, did you ever think Kristen mother flippin' Dodie was going to be the voice of reason on the Valley? And yet here we are. And even Jack says, you know, it's not a good day when Kristen Dodie comes in to tell you about your life at 12 p.m. That is rock bottom. That, like, we can't, and even Kristen Dodie's like, dude, you can't see your son. Like, isn't that rock bottom enough? And the thing is, Jax will, like, he'll take the information in. It seems like he hears it. He'll agree with it. He'll fight back a second, and then Kristen will say something back and be like, no, you're right. And then that kind of goes out the window once that conversation is over. Even on the after show, that's what bums me out. On the after show, you can still see him kind of fighting it. But at the same breath, he'll be like, well, Brittany, you know, at the end of the day, she saved me. Like, which is it, dude? Is she horrible or did she save you? Like, pick it and commit to it. I mean, this dude has everything. We all keep saying, like, this dude has everything. But at the same time, what is not, there's no room for is throwing of chairs. Is like, I mean, like, I'm just so confused, though, how everybody still hangs out with him. And yes, I've been around Jax. He is a nice, charming guy. But at a certain point, that's the one thing I'm just so curious about. Is it because they're like, well, this show falls apart without him, but they were friends with him in that interim when he wasn't on Vanderpump Rules or The Valley. So I don't know. Now, Dodie said something interesting saying, like, not on this episode, but maybe it was in the Jackie Schimmel interview, which I highly recommend over there on the Bitch Bible. We love Jackie. I think it was something like, well, listen, my goal is to help Brittany. And if I can, like, be an intermediary or be able to, like, calm down the situation, I'm going to do that. Do I think he's full of, like, bullshit? Yes, I do. But I am able to speak to him. Like, it's almost like she's the Jax whisperer in a way. But I do wonder how far down that road you can keep going, since this has been going on since 2013. And there are some heartbreaking moments in this episode when Jax's son comes into the house and legitimately runs away from his dad. Like, that has to break Jax's heart. That has to break his heart. You know, is that you're like, oh, dude. But I think he's just so absorbed in himself and what has been done wrong to him. And then at the same time, knowing that he has to say, oh, yes, I'm in the wrong. But I don't know. He really makes me nervous. But at the same time, it's like, here's Brittany. You can tell, by the way, she looks like, you know, 200 pounds lighter without Jax. She looks so happy. And even her having to deal with Jax, like, basically, like, allegedly, seemingly stalking her, she is still, it seems, boatloads happier than she was in the first season of The Valley, which I think says a lot, right? We have other storylines. We get to meet Zach and his boyfriend. Who would have thought a 90-day fiance situation there? Interesting. We still have the after effects of Janet and Dodie, the makeup that went nowhere. I mean, that shit is locked in stone. That is Dodie. And by the way, they are filming a reunion in person, and Dodie is going to be like weeks away from giving birth by the time they film this reunion. So I don't think that's going to go well. And by the way, Janet is a very, very smart person. So I think she knows that's not going to go well either. So I'm so curious, like, how do you play that if you're Janet? If you know somebody is so gung-ho, they've got your sights on you and they feel like they are right in doing so, how do you try to calm that down or join forces or mend fences? And like we talked about last week on the after show, you know, they used to be really good friends. And then Dodie believes that Janet changed, and Janet believes that Kristen was getting too crazy about her ex, crazy Kristen. And it's kind of taken on a life of its own. And, you know, if I were Janet during these times, I would just not view anything. You know, it's different than Jax. Like, Jax has an anger issue, but Janet, I don't know what it would be like to take that many people. I mean, it really does show you the vortex of reality show discourse when everybody just like, I don't like the cut of her jib. That's the voice. By the way, that's the voice of the discourse. I don't like the cut of her jib. I don't think I could handle it. I would never make it I would never make it a minute on reality television. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Anyways, so yeah, let's get started. Previously on The Valley, and we had that scene between Nia and Danny where Danny's like, you gotta stop trying to leg lock me to have a fourth baby. Come on. She's legitimately trying to leg lock him when he's like doing his business with the boys coming out of his wee-wee, and she leg locks him at the last minute. And his big thing is, we can have another baby. We just got to move to Santa Clarita. Now, spoiler alert, they did end up moving to Santa Clarita. And I got to tell you, I'm with Daniel on this one. If you have 4 kids, like, you do need a bigger space than where they're living. Like, that smile is going to, that Daniel Bucco smile that just lights up the whole valley, it's going to go away eventually. That thing is not a nonstop source of energy. So they did move, but the leg locking was dark. And then we had Dodie meeting with Jesse Lally, who they were not friendly last season, and they are now on the same team. Dodie is team Jesse. Now, my Jesse imitation needs a lot of work. Now, I've tried to abandon what I did last week, and I'm now doing a more Patrick Bateman from American Psycho, like, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry, Kristen. Now it's going to be like Team Jesse or Team Michelle. And Dodie's like, well, if I have to pick one, Team Jesse, who would have thunk? So that's what I'm going to try right now. And then at the end of the Valley last episode, we had Michelle talking to her ex, Jesse. And he's like, hey, I'm going to take, I might move to Huntington Beach. I might move to Santa Monica. And Michelle's like, you're dating a girl for a couple of fucking months. And now you're going to talk to me about moving? And he's like, wow, you are getting aggressive. And she's like, we can go to court and then the judge can decide. Which, by the way, I'm like, as I get older and too involved in these things, it's like with the Lively Baldoni stuff. Eventually I get to a point where I'm like, let the courts decide. I have a feeling that's like, I'm scared about the Jax Brittany stuff because I feel like eventually it gets beyond my pay grade. Well, I'm like, I'm not going to figure it out doing a 2-hour recap. Let the courts decide, you know? It's like, I want to go on to other things. We had that scene between Brittany and Michelle Lally where Brittany's like, I sent like a sexy video and Jax saw it on my iPad to that guy. He takes the bar stools, throws them everywhere. And Michelle's like, you should have immediately grabbed Cruz and left. And this was all over the Julian sexy videos. That's when he threw the thing. And then we have Schwarz talking to Jax, and Schwarz is like, I didn't know that you were capable of that type of behavior. Obviously, somebody, Schwarz just like showing his ass, revealing that he's never watched an episode of Vanderpump Rules, because I feel like we've all seen Jax get in those heated moments. We just haven't seen him throw things. I mean, like, I'm the number one guy in the group. Like, I can tell you 5 moments out of the top of my head where his eyes were bulging out of his head, you know? But Schwarz points out, like, you're headed towards rock bottom, dude. And he's like, I'm just fucking going off the rails. And that's where we start. I'm all right. And we have Michelle and Brittany in the opening together. The two people that are no longer with their husbands. And you guys, they look so happy. I'm all right. And then we have Dodie and Luke. What's up with the Luke erasure this season? We've only seen Luke just like one tiny bit. And I will say from the opening intro, his beard is getting bigger. There is a Paul Bunyan thing happening. And then we go to the two men that Michelle and Brittany used to be with. Jax is grilling, and it looks like Jesse has a nice Chardonnay or Chablis, and they both look the opposite of happy. They're like, everything is all right. And then we have Nia and Danny, and they look happy. They're leg wrestling to lock legs. And then we have Janet and Jason. They're smiling in beach chairs. And then we've got Zach and Jasmine. And what are they like? They're throwing like eggs or something? I don't know. They're throwing water. They're happy. So we open and we have, this is what I'm talking about. The music is so happy. It's like, oh yeah, I'm feeling it. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. And we go to Daniel's house with Nia and he's like, you let me buy a 5-bed, 5-bath in Stevenson Ranch or Valencia. I'll give you another baby. And she's like, I don't have time for that. And he's like, marriage is all about compromise here. Come on. And she goes, watch yourself. But seriously, watch yourself, Daniel. She's leg locking you, dude. It's too much. Okay, so then we cut over to Jesse's house. And Jesse's like on, like he's doing that voice to text thing. He's like, hey, period, would it be possible to FaceTime Isabella, my daughter? Like in the next couple of minutes, question mark? And then we cut to Michelle in the car with Isabella. And Michelle's like, oh, look who's calling. And he's like, hello. And Isabella's like, hola, look at my mustache. Because she has like a chocolate milk mustache. And he's like, yes, that looks like an acai mustache. And she's like, ha 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 ha, shut up, idiot. Bye, love you, Dad. We cut back to Jesse's like, Dad of the Year. Hell yeah. The music keeps going. Ah, na, na, na. Na, na, feeling it. And we're over at Janet and Jason's, and Brittany is over there with Jasmine. And we have our first mention that it is 125 degrees outside in the valley. And it's mentioned multiple times this episode. So truly, I mean, there is, I mean, by the way, we celebrated Earth Day this week, and I don't want to make this about global warming. Wouldn't it be great if there was a very special episode of the valley where it's just too hot and they're like, we've got to start recycling, everybody. But Janet is making casserole for everybody, which 125, it's not literally 125 degrees, but it's like matzo ball soup the other night on Summer House. Like, I don't want to have casserole when it's like a hot day in the, like, ooh, a big bowl of casserole, right? And Jasmine even says, listen, I'm not a casserole person. Like, it's a white person thing. Like, Jason, you eat this every day? You eat this every day? And then there's a funny shot of Jason shoveling the casserole in his mouth, just like very pleasant. The girls go on to the other room. They see Brittany's terrarium that her and Janet made last week. And they're like, oh, the terrarium, it's sweaty all the time. And I was like, just like me. So Brittany's like, last night, I barely know what happened. And Janet's like, well, last night went downhill fast. And it's in regards to the Janet, Kristen Dodie conversation. So we're starting there. And she mentions to Kristen that we saw last week, I'm sorry that I roped you into Zach's demonic behavior. So Janet was trying to give Dodie the out of like, I don't blame you, I blame Zach. But Dodie going, no, that's my boy. You ain't going to put it all on him. So Janet goes, I talked to Kristen. I apologize for dragging her in to Zach's comments on a podcast. I said something like both of them were not supportive of my pregnancy or something like that, right? And Brittany's like, well, what does she say when you say those things? And Janet's like, well, she kind of like went in more. Yeah, because Kristen, mother effing Dodie don't lay down. She is going to go harder in the paint, right? Janet goes, it just felt like talking to a crazy person. Uh-oh, crazy Kristen. Brittany's like, well, I was like around tall people and I couldn't see you guys. I love Brittany I didn't know how to step to the left. Everybody was tall. I kept being like, can you see if they're arguing, tall people? Can you see? Can you see? In a talking head, Janet says, I think Dodie needs to admit to some wrongdoing, like grow up. And Brittany, by the way, it cracks me up how happy Brittany looks in these scenes without Jax. She's just like, yeah, not a care in the world. Uh-oh, Jax is texting me again. But Brittany just says, well, listen, I just wish you had kept partying with me. That was my only thing. But Janet was like, yeah, I'm sorry that it went so south. I knew I was going to cry. What am I going to stand in the middle of the party and cry? Yes, Janet, it's reality television. Yes, you are going to stand in the middle of the club and cry. That's reality television. Like, lock the doors. Alex Baskin, lock the doors. And Janet's actually tearing up in this scene. She says, I know it's like just words, but like the shit that Zach said really fucked with my head. Like when you're pregnant, all you're thinking is like, don't let anything bad happen. And Jasmine's like, listen, last year was hard for you. And being pregnant, everything, I can't even imagine. Now, Brittany in a talking head goes, I get why they're mad at each other. I love them all. But like, I can't be in the middle of it. See, that's what's so weird. The incestuousness of these friends groups. And I think that's what makes it interesting to watch on television, because you're like, wait, Brittany's best friends with Zach from like high school days. Zach's really best friends with Jasmine as well. Janet doesn't now get along with Zach, but they're all hanging out with Janet. Like, it would make your mind explode. It would give me the stomach Couchies every day if I had to be like, oh, that person's hanging out with that person that I don't like. Like, that would tear you up. But Brittany points out, she goes, I got a lot going on, so I get it. But like, you got to be strong and just like, you know, In a talking head, Brittany says, dealing with Jax is already so much for me. I want to be a good friend, but at the same time, I'm just like, we're adults. We could figure this out. My boyfriend has a thong on the marital bathroom. Anyways, Jasmine points out to Janet that they're a baby step because Janet unblocked Zach. And Janet goes, well, I didn't realize I unblocked him. How do you not realize you unblocked somebody? Regardless, baby steps. We move from Janet's place and we dart over. Where do we go next? We are at Jason Jax Taylor Couchies. We see a bunch of Nikes on the floor. We see like he has a lot of that like live, laugh, love art all over the house, but it's all emblazoned with his last name. So we see like the big wood, the big wood circle thing that says the Couchies, established June 29th, 2019. Jax, I don't want you to be listening. I don't want anybody from the Valley listening, but if you happen to be listening or if, anyways, put this shit on eBay, dude. I will snap this up in a second. I know that sounds dark, but for the reality show museum, the homestead, the Couchies, damn. And Jax is actually folding laundry. He doesn't look that bad. Like, he's folding laundry. That's responsible, right? Just like an authorized eBay seller with a 97.4% rating would do. And we see Dodie. Dodie's like, once again, the shot of the feet. She's walking her dog and she's walking over to Jax's. And she knocks on the door. Like, who is it? Who the fuck is it? And she just lets herself in. And then we see another piece of wooden art that says Couchie Homestead. This thing's big too. So there's a lot, like if there's any burglars over there, you're out the Couchies because there is just wood emblazoned plaques everywhere. And Dodie goes, I was knocking, but you didn't answer. So I just came in. And he goes, sorry, house is huge. It's quite empty. So I get used to all the noises. That and the noises in my head. They hug each other and he's like, how are you? He goes, I'm all right. And then Jack goes, I feel like you're really hot. I haven't been outside much today, even though I look like a tomato and I'm sweating. And she goes, yeah, it's 100 trillion degrees out. So they go into the kitchen and we see that the chairs are all jacked. These are the chairs that he threw. And he goes, that's the broken chair. And she goes, I'm aware. I saw. I threw my chair. I threw my cup. I threw my sippy cup. Cruz even knows not to throw his cups. He pours like what's left over of like a thirst buster into a glass. I love that he's a thirst buster man. We do have similarities. And Dodie's like, how are you? And he goes, I'm a mess. She goes, yeah, you're not doing great. What happened the other night, Jax? I don't think I've ever gotten that mad in my life. Now, the restraint the editors show right here not to do an editor's troll of every time we've seen Jax get upset is a restraint I will never have. And then he goes, I'm not justifying it at all, but I didn't just fly out for no reason. So that actually is a justification, but I'm not justifying, but I did. Well, but there was a reason why I did what I did, basically. And also, Jax is wearing the Jax's Saloon. And I'm like, dude, if we're talking about you throwing chairs at women, don't be wearing your business logo in the scene. Dodie's like, you're justified. And he's like, no, I'm not justifying it, but I didn't just do it for nothing. And Dodie has this face of like, come on, dude. And she goes, your feelings are valid. You could be pissed, scared, fucking angry, but it doesn't mean you have to do something about it. He goes, I know. So all of a sudden, like you could write a scene by rote of Jax. Like when Jax gets called out on things, he goes, I know. She's upstairs. She's saying, I want to work on my marriage. I want to work on our marriage. And I went on that iPad and I saw all these messages, Kristen. All these messages. I was just like, rah! Jax smash! And I just started throwing shit. In a talking head, he goes, finding out that my friend was hooking up with my wife. I was just like, doosh, doosh. I felt like I was the Russian in Rocky IV, which, by the way, Rocky IV, you know who that starred? Sylvester Stallone. You know what other movie Sylvester Stallone was in? Rambo. And I have Jax Taylor's Rambo Lunchbox. He continues on with Kristen, I'm not trying to play victim here because I'm no saint in our marriage. But I thought we were trying to move forward and trying to do it again, and I lost all control. He goes, I've gotten to a point where I'm not happy. I haven't been happy. And so the last time I was happy, I think, when my son was born. And Dodie's like, don't you want to be? He goes, I would kill to be happy. Well, let's not use that word. I would do a lot to be. I would not. And he goes, I hate being miserable. And then Dodie goes, that's what a therapist is for, to help you figure that shit out. And he goes, I've gone down this road before with therapists. I have everything going for me, but I just can't be happy. I just get miserable. I'm like, I don't want to live here anymore. I miss my sister. I miss my, and why isn't my dad here? Now his dad passed away, right? We were, Vanderpump Rules was still filming. I mean, they'd already, I think, but like his dad passed away and everybody was there for him. But it's an interesting dialogue. He says, why, like almost blaming his dad for not being here. It was like an interesting choice of words of like, why isn't my dad here? You know, it's like an interesting way that I think he looks at the world, like blaming other people once again, other than blaming himself. He goes, he should be fucking helping me with this. And I don't have a mom and I can't talk to her. You do have a mom. You just refuse to talk to her. Which is another thing. I think there are these really stubborn walls that he puts up that he is not able to break down at all. But it's like, you do have a mom. And I know we don't know all the ins and outs, but you do have a mom. Your dad has passed away, but your mom is still there. And he goes, I vented and I take it out on my wife. And Dodie's like, it's affecting Brittany so badly. And he pauses and he goes, what about me? Just like Brittany Brittany from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. What about me? But that's dark. Like, what about me? Like, dude, what about you? Like, you're lucky that people are even coming in to check on you. Dodie takes this in like, are you kidding me? He goes, nobody checks in on me. Dodie is literally in front of his fucking face right now. Dodie goes, you're the one fucking up right now, Jax. He goes, I just don't feel like she cares about me. Dodie goes, do you know how many times? What about me? He says again. And Dodie's like, I've been with her crying because you called her ugly, fat. You know, you call her ugly, fat. He goes, I never called her fat. And Dodie goes, Jax, I've read the fucking texts. He goes, never, 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 never. And Dodie's like, I've been here when you've said she's fat. And then Jax goes, I love women that look like her. Oh my God. I've never called her fat. Dodie's going, no, I've been here when you've done it. I've seen the text. On the after show, everybody, because Jax continued, he goes, never said it, never did. And even Schwarz is like, dude, she's going to pull out receipts. Like, also, I wonder if there's some sort of agreement to not show these text messages because they obviously exist. But he's like, no. I love women that look like her. What does that mean? Women that look like her? What does that even mean? And Dodie's just kind of like, are you kidding me? And he goes, I never called her that. So I don't get it. You're just allowed to blatantly lie, even though, like, Jax knows they know. Like, so is that just part of filming? Like, Jax will just say, hey, after the scene of like, I'm just never going to admit it. So sorry. Dodie in a talking head goes, I've heard Jax say these things to Brittany, especially over the last 3 years, even when she was pregnant with Cruz. So Jax, you're not going to win here. But you kind of do let him win because you allow him to keep doing this kind of narrative of complete lies. You know, of like, yes, I don't know where it comes from. But anyways, Dodie's like, you have to control these impulses, Jax. The rage, the reaction. It's not fucking easy, dude. In a talking head, he goes, you know, I've hit rock bottom when Kristen Dodie shows up at your house before noon to talk about your fucking issues. Which is actually like, I weirdly laughed at that because he's like, you know, things are bad when Dodie comes over at noon. Like, it's like the Grim Reaper. If Dodie's at your house before noon, things are not going well. Dodie goes, you're not allowed to be around Cruz by yourself, Jax. That's fucking terrifying. He goes, I don't want him to see me in this state. And Dodie goes, she doesn't want you to be alone with him because you can't control your rage. And just because he's not talking, it doesn't mean he's not taking some of this in. I know that you put Cruz first. Just think about Cruz. And if he were there right now, what the fuck would you do? And Jackson's like, I know. You're right. You're right. And Dodie goes, life is not fucking easy, Jax. And I don't understand how rock bottom for you is not right now. And that's the thing, dude, is that like, even remember when you were a kid, like remember when your parents would get into a fight, you know, like even if it was just a tepid, like even if it was in the other room, like I was so sensitive to all of that. Like your ears, like kids are not dumb in any sort of way. And I know, you know, like Cruz has to be, And I try not to talk about the kids on this, but I would just imagine just from my own personal experience, you do pick up on those things. And I know you, I don't know. There's got to be so many triggers for this dude that I don't even know where you would start. It's like, I don't know. Like, I'm not a licensed therapist. This would just be me guessing or my own work that I've done in therapy, but I don't know how you would begin to work with somebody that has this many defenses, that gaslights constantly, that actually has rage that is turning more into physicality. And I know everybody, all of these friends are used to it. They're like, oh, that's just Jax. But like, what about behind closed doors? Like, you're not there for that stuff. That's scary. Come back from break with like overpowering fun music, like everybody in the club get hot, hot, hot. The party don't stop, stop, stop. And I'm like, what party? Are you kidding me? And we're over at Brittany's rented Airbnb with Cruz, and Zach Wickham comes over and brings Chinese food, and they go out by the pool to stick their feetsies in. Cruz comes out. I will say this Cruz is a very cute kid. And Zach is like, has Jax texted you? And Brittany's like, he texted me this morning saying that he missed his son. And I'm like, he wants to see him. He just wrote me and said, what up, tree trunk? No, he goes, all I ask is you check in on me. Show me that you care. If you have the time to send that bleep pics, I think if you have the time to send that tit pic, you can check on your husband who's going through a hard time. And Zach literally gives the look that we're all giving, like, are you kidding me? And Brittany's like, he will not get over that he saw that I sent Julian pictures. And Zach's like, of course you're starting to send them. You're like, damn, getting that groove back, girl. And he's like, listen, I'm gay, but like we send them right away. Like, here's my dick. Just click, click. Okay, great. And Brittany's like, it was just the girls. Fana and Farah. That's what I sent him, Fana and Farah. But also that's Brittany's business. And I don't know why I'm arguing with you guys, but they were on a break. They were separated. Are you kidding me? Jax is fucking his way through the valley. He literally is bringing people to the marital home. Why am I screaming? But then he has the balls to be like, all I ask is that you check in on me when I'm going through a hard time. Dude! Are you out of your mind? You have sent them to an Airbnb. Why is it Brittany's responsibility? In a talking head, Zach goes, I hope that Brittany finally realizes that she has been walking the wrong path for a while. Brittany goes, I'm like, you're parading around with girls who literally shake their tits for money. Zach thinks Brittany deserves the best, and she has been accepting the worst. Brittany goes, it is just so much going on. And I'm just like, oh my God. I just really want everybody to be able to have fun. And I know even last night at my white party, I haven't had a conversation really with Kristen about her and Janet's conversation, right? But I did have a conversation with Janet today. And you guys, Zach, you got to figure some shit out. And Zach's like, she is just as manipulative as Jax. And Brittany's like, no way. And Zach says Brittany is blind to everything that Janet does. Brittany has said that she started to see it, but I don't think she's there yet. So Zach thinks it's like one of those old 3D paintings where you had to like kind of blur your eyes to actually see what the picture was. But I don't know. Zach thinks that Janet is as evil as Jax. But Zach goes, last year when she was saying I was aggressive, girl, I was not aggressive. I couldn't hear her. We were also in a club. But the thing that I want to talk about is like, not the Janet part, but like the me and you part. And he starts tearing up with his feet in the pool. And his suntan is coming off of his feet. And Brittany's like, you gonna cry? And she's like, no, this past year, Brittany, Janet has put like this literal wedge between us. And I feel completely like alone. Because remember, Brittany took a step back from the friendship with Zach after he had found out, didn't find out. Zach was the one telling this to Brittany, and Brittany went and told Janet. But Brittany says it was all about the things that Zach said, right? And she just needed a little break. And Zach says the other reason I'm kind of upset is because like with Benji. And Benji is his boyfriend, right? And Zach is like, we broke up. And he's like almost fully crying now. And Brittany's like, completely? He's like, yes, I sent dick shots to Julian. No. And then he goes, he possibly could be deported. So now, wait, Benji, we didn't even know Benji before. Benji is Zach's boyfriend, and now he's going to get deported, and they broke up, and like his visa didn't get renewed. And they're like, she's like, did something serious happen, or was it just this that made you guys break up? And he's like, no, it was just because of this. So he was like, oh, I can't renew my visa. I guess we have to break up. And Zach lets us know in a talking head that Benji and him met on a dating app. I think it's Grindr, right? We're in love, he says, but leave it to me to find the most complicated relationship that there is and fall for that guy. And we see a picture of him and Benji. They look like they're painted in silver. I don't even know what look this is. It must be a Halloween costume. But yeah, he says Benji's Canadian. He's getting deported. And by the way, I've seen them in person, and they're really cute. But I will say Zach is so tall, and Benji is not nearly as tall as Zach. So he's, but anyway, Zach goes, I always say I'm not dramatic, but like maybe I'm choosing drama. And I didn't even realize it. Yes, girl. Yes. But Zach said he told me that he can't give anybody a full relationship if he doesn't know where he's going to be. And I told him, if you think you see a serious future like I see with you, Benji, then I would really love for you to move in with me. This is screaming storyline for the Valley. So we don't know. He says he's still figuring it out. And we see Cruz just like kind of playing in the pool by himself, splashing. And Brittany's like, hey, 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 hey. Then Brittany's like, does this mean we're going to be each other's wingmen? And Zach's like, girl, I am always your wingman. But I think that's awesome. Like Brittany needs all of this kind of support that she can get. So I love that she has it. Hop over to Jesse's place, and Michelle comes in, and their Malibu, their dog, is greeting Michelle at the door. And he's like, who's that, Malibu? Is that the lady that cheated on your father? Come on in. Come on in. And so I'm like, this is going to be completely awkward. What is this about? In a talking head, Michelle says, I wish I could tell Jesse to fuck himself, but we have a daughter together, and I just want what's best for her. So I keep it all to myself. So Jesse's like, so I want to talk about the schedule. I redid it. And he comes in with a calendar. And we flash back to him talking about like the schedule last season about being 50-50, 2 days on, 2 days off is perfect. And she said she didn't have any issues, right? So now he goes, I have just decided at this point that we're not going to play that game of, hey, I'm going away, so you take her. And Michelle's like, we haven't played that game because I haven't gone anywhere. And he goes, you've gone to New York? And she goes, I've complained because you've gone on 4 trips, Jesse, in a short period of time. And he goes, for some reason, you can't grasp the, she goes, I do, I can grasp it. And he kind of does this blinky thing where it looks like he might short circuit. And he goes, we agreed on a schedule, Jesse, and you said, forget it, I never said that. And he goes, Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. And she goes, Jesse, Jesse, Jesse. Here's the schedule now, Michelle. You will have her all day Friday, all day Saturday. You will drop her off to the nanny. And then Michelle goes, who's the nanny? And he goes, doesn't matter who the nanny is. It doesn't, I'll send an Uber. It doesn't matter. And she goes, it does matter who the nanny is. Because I'm her mother and you're going out of town. And he's like, you literally said to me, you're using my nannies that I hired. And Michelle's like, I found them. Big pause. Michelle in a talking head says, we hired a mediator that Jesse recommended. I was hopeful to try to work with them to save money, but dealing with Jesse Lally is not easy. And I know at some point I will most likely have to hire a lawyer. Which just sucks because the money they're making from the Valley is going to go directly into fighting each other. It's like, dude, fix this so you can just fight on the show about these things. Jesse goes, you can say whatever you want about my parenting. That's okay. It's just a reflection of how you are as a person. And she goes, excuse me? And he goes, because I am the best father to Isabella. And she goes, really? He goes, yeah, I am. In a talking head, he goes, Michelle's, by the way, I just love how relaxed Jesse always is in his talking heads. He's like doing the cross-legged stance. He's got one arm like dangling over the sofa. He's like, Michelle's narrative is that I'm an absentee father who is just doing my own thing. partying, going out to dinners, and leaving Isabella with nannies and an iPad. And yes, by the way, that sounds like so specific that it's like, yeah, you probably do that. Because the reality is, I am struggling every day, every second of the day, to try to balance my work life, my personal life, and my single dad life. And that's the truth. But isn't what he just said kind of what Michelle was like inferring? Like, yes. So in the scene, he goes, this is how we're going to do it moving forward. We will have discussions about the holidays. And Michelle goes, yeah, because this year's my turn. And he goes, I don't think I should be alone for November, for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then he starts tearing up. We've already got 2 tear ups from men. He goes, I don't want to be away for 2 holidays from Isabella. I just don't. And she goes, you love to cry. You always do this because you want people to think that I'm cold and you're this sensitive person. But you don't treat me like that. And he goes, I don't care. I don't care. And she goes, it just depends on you. Yes, Michelle does come off cold. That is the shitty thing about men in reality TV is that most of the time they will come off more dynamic than the female partner that they're with or have been with. And they get sometimes the short end of the stick because they're not dynamic. And there is something about society where we see a man cry and we think about little boys crying and you're like, oh, he feels bad, right? But Michelle goes, it depends on how you treat me, how everything's going, Jesse. And Jesse's like, I might get aggravated. And I might get like resentful, but you're so angry. Why are you so angry? And by the way, he's like just buttoned up anger. But she goes, I'm angry because you treat me like shit. You have told me multiple times that you don't give a fuck that I'm the mother of your child. He goes, I have never said that. Are you seeing a pattern? Like the women will say, you said exactly this. And they'll be like, I've never said that. That's very Jax Taylor. I never called Brittany fat. No. And Michelle's like, I swear on my mother that you have said that to me. And then Jesse goes, but you also swore on Isabella's life that you didn't cheat on me, and you did. She's like, are you serious? In a talking head, he goes, I am 99% sure that she cheated on me twice. Thrice. Twice. Michelle is just too short-sighted, too stupid and a big fat idiot to say, hey, I screwed up. Just be like, yeah, I cheated. I fucked up. Sorry, Jesse. Sorry, Isabella. Sorry, Jesse. Sorry. The sorry, Jesse, I was almost with him. I was like, yeah, you can say sorry if you cheated on him, but like, sorry, Isabella. Sorry, our little 4-year-old daughter. Sorry that mommy cheated. And then Michelle's like, you want to talk about the random girl you just started dating? You know what kind of shit she says to my friends and other people? It's actually embarrassing, and I feel sorry for you. And she's told people, including a friend of mine, that she's sleeping with other people. And then he goes, who's this friend? I'll call him right now. And then Michelle invokes, it's almost like calling Beetlejuice. It's like, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. It's like, who's your friend? And she goes, Sheena. Dun, dun, dun. Sheena motherfucking Shay. Good as gold. We got her in, folks. And Jesse's like, perfect. Let's call Sheena. We said it twice. One more time to make the Sheena juice appear. And then Michelle goes, let's call Sheena. So now we're calling Sheena. In a talking head, the producer goes, what are you comfortable saying? And Michelle goes, I don't know this person, but I hope because she spends so much time with my daughter that she's amazing. But a week into dating, Isabella says, Daddy had a sleepover and I saw a girl in his bed. Isabella seemed, ugh. So we hear the line ringing and all I can imagine is Sheena's just been waiting by the phone in full glam, even though there's no camera on her. And she's like, you can do it, fucking. The valley is yours. The valley is yours. The valley. Lady Gaga loves you. Lady Gaga, Seth Rogen loves you. Let's do this. Come on. Come on. Come on. This is for Summer Moon. Let's do this. Let's get into some shenanigans. The line is ringing. Trill, trill. Sheena's warming up. Me. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Unique New York. Unique New York. Ah. And we get, hello. Hey, Sheena. It's Jesse. You okay to talk? She's like, hi. Yeah, for sure. So the reason we're calling Sheena is Michelle and I are here talking about my friend in Orange County. that she's been sleeping with other guys. Is that true or false? There's a pause. And Scheana goes, that is correct. Verbatim. Boom! Scheana, boom! First scene in, boom, not even, just audio. Audio alone. Scheana is starting shit. This is the Scheana that we know on Vanderpump Rules. Like, oh, you tell me I'm just going to be a friend of? No. I've got information. Like, it's literally like, you need me. I can bring things to this. So Jesse's like, okay, all right. And Scheana continues. She goes, well, she also told me specifically who. And Jesse's like, that she's sleeping with other guys currently? And then Scheana goes, the guy from Baywatch. Oh my God, you guys. The Baywatch has been involved. We have Scheana and Baywatch reference in the same scene. Now, Baywatch started in like the early 90s, right? It started on NBC and they got canceled after one season and then went into massive syndication and made stars out of Pamela Anderson, Carmen Electra. I mean, just a whole cast of characters. It was led by David, don't hassle the Hasselhoff. Huge singer in Germany, but also a big actor in the 80s, Knight Rider. I'm sure Jax has that lunchbox as well. And the whole time, like, listen, I made a meme the other night saying like, oh my God, please let it be David Hasselhoff. Now I was like, I made that meme knowing that there's no fucking way it's David Hasselhoff, right? But I was like, wouldn't it be amazing to see David Hasselhoff pop in on the Valley of like, hey, Jax, I hear you're having a rough time. Hi, my name's David. Like, wouldn't it be amazing if David Hasselhoff, like, that's where my mind goes to of like, David Hasselhoff could really just liven things up in the Valley. Like, who's that tall, dark, and handsome stranger? That's David Hasselhoff. But it's probably, one of the other younger people. But then somebody in my DMs today, and I don't even get to open up a lot of my DMs, but I opened this one because I was like typing something and it came in and they said, hey, I went and checked the girl that Jesse's dating and she does follow David Hasselhoff. Now, I am not a journalist, so I did not check to see if any of that is true. And also part of me just wanted to believe it is because I just want to keep the thought that it could be David Hasselhoff like close to my heart. Like I don't like, there's no way it is like, it's gotta be one of the younger Baywatch guys. If there is even anybody, a younger Baywatch guy anymore, because Baywatch, and I don't think it's the Baywatch movie. I don't think it's like The Rock, Oh, The Rock would be interesting too. But I think but David Hasselhoff would just be chef's kiss. Scheana says the guy from Baywatch and Jesse goes, all right, cool. Thank you. And Scheana goes, I'm sorry. And he goes, that's okay. Bye. She goes, bye. I love, but Scheana was just like shining the rest of that day of like, oh my God, Brock, what's going on? It's me, Brock. I think I just killed it on my audio only appearance of the Valley. All right there, guy. All right. Michelle goes, listen, Jesse, we're both angry. He goes, I'm not angry. Michelle goes, she can do whatever she wants. I hope you guys are happy, whatever that is. He goes, okay, fine. All right, cool. And he keeps drinking his Canada Dry. Okay, all right. He goes, I'm a little overwhelmed right now, and I have to pick Isabella up this afternoon, so thank you for coming by. Michelle should be like, Jesse, Baywatch isn't even a good show. Like she should comfort him in some way. And then in the talking head, Jesse goes, it's sad that my 4-year-old daughter, Isabella, will come home and keep going up begging to keep Malibu when she goes to her mommy's house because she doesn't want me lonely. She asked for me to keep Malibu. But Michelle can't see that. She thinks that it's fake. I don't know. But Jesse goes, I didn't cheat on her. I didn't lie to her. Yeah, maybe I was a shitty husband, but I didn't hurt her. So why is she actively trying to hurt me? Okay, you guys had the same reaction I did, right? I didn't cheat on her. I didn't hurt her. Maybe I was a shitty husband. Boom! There you go. You know the answer. You were a shitty husband, man. It wasn't that you cheated on her or lied to her. You were a shitty husband. That's all it takes. Like the cheating and the lying, but like the shitty husband thing was probably the main thing for her. Is that she didn't want to go through the rest of her life like that, right? And I think it's like interesting that he has that perspective of I didn't cheat or lie, but I was potentially the shittiest husband, and I can't believe she legally wasn't made to stay with me. It's a weird way of thinking about things. So now we get into kind of a series of scenes like where we realize that Jax is being visited. So we, my theory here is that they told him, "Hey, dude, you gotta," like production told him, "You gotta go to a facility. Like this isn't working." And listen, and part of me, an audience member, is like, "Man, come on! I grew up on episodes of Intervention. Like, I wanted to see everybody in a circle and like, this is how you hurt me. Please accept help today." But I'm kind of thankful that they didn't do that. It kind of shows that there actually is some restraint here. So instead, we had Kristen go visit him, and now we have Danny, Jason Caperna visiting him. And I love how he opens the door. He's like, "Hey!" And they're like, "Hey, how you doing, Jax? All right. Okay." And Jason's like all branded out because he's wearing Jax's Studio City merch. So he's like, "Oh, it's all I had to wear." "No, Jax, we just literally saw you fold all of your clothes. You have plenty of things to wear." He's like, "How are you guys?" And Danny's like, "We're okay. Yeah. 4 under 4, 3 under 4. You know how to, Danny goes, I'm a little sick, Jax." He goes, "You're sick?" He's like, "Yeah, I got hand, foot, and mouth disease from the kids, so you might want to wash your hands." Jax is like, "Oh," he goes, I'm joking. They're like all overly smiley because they know this is going to be a tough scene potentially. Jax is immediately washing his hands after that hand, foot, and mouth comment. But they're like laughing at everything Jax says. Yeah, great. And then Jax is like, "Hey, so what's new with you guys? I haven't seen you guys in a minute." And then Jason's like, "Hey, I'll be candid. Like, a big reason we wanted to come is just checking on you because, I've heard." And Jackson's like, "Is this an intervention?" And Danny's like, we flash back to Jason and Danny talking, and Jason saying, "Hey, it's just been a really toxic situation. And some of the behavior with Jax, some of the stuff, it is a little bit concerning. But I haven't been able to nail him down and really have a conversation with him outside of the bar, which is just not the time and place for a serious conversation." In a talking head, Jason says, "My non-professional thoughts on what is going on with Jax. He's just always kind of going through life anxious, depressed, and then he'll blow off steam with partying and then just makes the problem worse. And it's just this never-ending cycle that's never gotten any better unless he makes a drastic change. It's never going to get any better unless he makes a drastic change." In the scene, he tells Jax, "We're here also largely because we heard about the Cruz thing. When I talked to Brittany, she told me she's not comfortable with you being with Cruz right now. So it's like a rock bottom situation, Jax?" And Jax is like, and by the way, Jax is less, he's like, "Hey," it seems like he's listening. He goes, "That's the biggest thing right here." Jason goes, "You still have the ability to get Cruz back fully, 100%. And he goes, "I just flipped, man. I flipped. I lost it." And Jason's like, "Yeah, you reached out to other friends. I know. Like, you want help. Like, you're struggling with some stuff. You have really bad depression, anxiety." In a talking head, Jax goes, "The more Danny and Jason are talking, the more this feels like an intervention." Jason says, "It's not something you can cure on your own." And then Jax goes, "I'm a huge fan of that show." "This is starting to feel like Sister Wives. I'm a huge fan of that show. I just never thought I was going to be on it," he says. Jason says, "What also is the underlying factor?" And Jax is like, "There's a lot of issues. I don't think I'm as bad as they're making me out to be. Vanderpump Rules. It's a lie. I played a character on that show." Danny in a talking head goes, "What's bad to you, man? You're throwing furniture. Brittany won't even let you see your son alone, man. That sounds really bad to me." So Danny goes, "Jax, what are the solutions right now?" And Jax is like, "I'm going to this mental hospital." It's kind of like when I say I got to go to the gym. Going to this mental hospital, this mental clinic or mental health clinic, this place I've researched a little bit. I would love to see Jax researching something. I'm just trying to wait for this assessment guy. This guy's supposed to call me back. Stupid call back. And Jason's like, "That's good. You made a decision." He goes, "I'm just getting frustrated. A week long of me having this conversation 50 fucking times. I get it. I got it. 50 fucking times this conversation, which means I bet he's had this conversation with all of production, all of these people. And so he probably is tired of having this conversation." He goes, "You guys are just on the end of me just talking about the same shit over and over and over. And Jason's like, we just don't want to see you lose everything that you worked hard to build. Jax in a talking head says, it's tough for me to ask for help, but I talked to my sister and she was like, you should go. And we flash back to Jax talking to his sister on an iPad. And Jax is like, you think going to checking myself into somewhere for a couple days is a good idea? The sister without hesitation goes, yes. And Jax is like, I can't be away for more than 3. I mean, these hoes ain't gonna fuck themselves. You know what I'm saying? No, but he just says, listen, I have too much going on in my life. The sister's like, these aren't important things, Jax. You need to go. We have a history of mental illness in our family. People go crazy. You need to go. Jackson, a talking head, says, I grew up in a household of yelling and screaming. And my father was that way. My grandfather, it runs in our family. And my worst fear is that Cruz picks this up. And I think it's time to break the cycle, to get some help, because I don't want my son to ever feel like the way I feel. So this is like breaking that kind of generational trauma, but it's really hard. Like, you want to empathize and take everything that Jack says point blank, but it's hard not to take everything that he says with the biggest grain of salt ever. He tells the guys, he's like, my dad's turning over in his grave right now that I'm doing this. And Jason's like, no, he's not. Your dad is so proud of you, man. Your dad is like, thank you. And Jackson's like, I just want to be a good dad. I just want to be a good father. And Daddy's like, we know you're a great man. We know you're a great human. I'm like, do we? See, this is what's frustrating as a viewer of this show for so long. It's like, we know you're a great man. We know you're a great human. I want to see what they see, because I know we only see these 43-minute edited things, but I don't know, man. Danny's like, there's just some issues that you need to take care of. And then all of a sudden there's a ring. He's like, hello? And we see this. This had to have been like a different guy's voice, and they recorded this other voice after this actual phone call. Because by the way, I wouldn't go to this facility after this guy's voice. He's like, hello. He goes, hey, I got to take this call, guys, real quick. Hey, hold on 1 sec. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Come on. Hey, I got to get out of here, guys. I got to take this call. And then he goes, thank you guys for stopping by. Get out. Okay. I appreciate it. I got to take this call. I got to save myself. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. And then Danny and Jason just kind of leave. And then the guy, this weird voice, is like, hey, we know you want to get help, man. So thanks for participating in this call. So what's wrong? And Jackson's like, just like, I got a lot of anger issues, just depression. In a talking head, he goes, I don't want this to be my life anymore. I just don't. I'm just angry and I'm sad and I'm depressed. And you have a little boy over there, has no fucking clue what's going on. Ugh. And then the guy's like, so what's your depression on a scale between 1 and 10? 10 being severe. And Jackson's like, 9 for sure. And the guy goes, so listen, we need to get some stuff settled. There's always the financial aspect of things. And then Jackson's like, for how much? And he's like, for the full 30 days, $30,000. And Jackson's like, well, what if I don't do all that? And they're like, well, so unfortunately, if you left early, we can't refund you the money. And Jax like puts down his phone on the table, like the kitchen island immediately. It was like, fuck, 30 grand. Are you fuck? I mean, that is a lot of money. Like, I don't know how much, let's see how much Jax charges on Cameo. And then we'll do a little quick math and see how much I wonder if Jax has blocked me on Cameo. Let's see here, Jax. So a Cameo from Jax, $155. Okay. And he has a 4.94 rating on Cameo. So that's pretty good. He gets good ratings on eBay and Cameo. So 30,000. Let's do a quick, I can't even do this in my head, so I'm going to go to the Apple phone calculator. 30,000 divided by 155. So he would have to do 194 cameos, which isn't impossible, right? So Jax is like listening to the guy, like, I feel like 30 days is more, it's good. It's going to set you up for the best possible outcome. And then the guy's like, all right, brother, I'll let you think about this. All right, brother. Like, if this guy was calling me brother already, this can't be the actual guy. And Jackson's like, okay, sounds good. Love you. No. Jax goes, I'm at the point right now. I think everybody can see it that I'm at the end of the rope and I need some help. He talks to himself. He goes, this is a big deal. 30 fucking days. 30 fucking days. 30,000. Ugh. Jax smash. What's weird about this episode is that we go from scenes of Jax, like this weird kind of intervention in spurts, and then we'll cut to a scene like on Ventura Boulevard with Janet, Michelle, and Brittany, and they're all having a drink and some bacon wrapped dates. And Brittany's like, I had some Amazon packages at our place and I had to go pick them up. And I like go upstairs to see if I want to grab any extra clothes or stuff out of the bathroom. And there is a thong on my bathroom sink, like Cisco. Thong. I took a picture of it to show you guys. Why was there a baby wipe on top of it? And we see this like white thong with crumpled up like tissue paper, and she's like, it's not even a hot thong. And then Janet's like, gross, she wiped her vagina and it's on your fucking counter. And Brittany makes a face like, no, but she's like she's so happy. She's like, oh wait, oh gross, oh my goodness, vagina. Brittany in a talking head goes, I thought it was a COVID mask at first. No wonder COVID spread like it did. And she goes, and more investigation, I found out it was a thong. Gross. And then she giggles like, oh, this is how traumatized Brittany is. She's like, it was a thong in my marital house. And then she goes, I fucking hate him. And then we get to Michelle calling Jesse out and talking about the schedule and Isabella's schedule. And she's like, he agrees to something and then he takes it back. But the problem is the girl that's dating Jesse, she sent me a really horrific text message. And Brittany's like, what? Did she send you a thong? The thong, please. No, by the way, I was thinking, you know where I'm going to go with this, right? If I could get that thong and that piece of tissue paper for my reality show museum, could you imagine? I think people would come far and wide to see the white thong. But Michelle's telling them this lady that Jesse's dating is constantly threatening to sue her. And that's wild. She's like, Brittany's like, why is she trying to sue you? And Janet goes, well, she said something to me at Jax's bar a while ago. She was like, I'm going to send all of you guys cease and desist so you don't talk about me. And Brittany's like, well, I thought she was nice, but yeah, if anybody says cease and desist, I'm like, you're nice. But she's like, that's all I know of her. I've only met her 2 times. Janet goes, she has in her head that, we're all going to talk bad about her. Well, I mean, in her defense, it is a reality television show where that kind of behavior happens. In a talking head, Janet says, I'm not interested in getting sued. And there's one word that you can add to a sentence that helps prevent that. And then it magically appears allegedly. And then we have Brittany holding up the sign allegedly. And she goes, allegedly, she told 4 people at a kid's birthday party that she was dating a guy from Baywatch and not Jesse, unless Jesse was in Baywatch. And I don't believe he was. Janet says, look, some of the girls Jax is bringing home, like I'll take over those girls any day, right? And Michelle's like, how am I supposed to feel about you when I get a text like that? And Janet's like, girl, if you are so worried about having your name talked about or whatever in regards to Jesse's girlfriend, don't date somebody who's signed up to share their life. Bingo. Bingo. Janet goes, if it's too stressful to date somebody who's going through a divorce, don't. And Michelle's like smiling, but it's that smiling where you're about to cry. And Brittany's like, you want me to come over and hug you? Come on. And they hug her. And Michelle just says, literally, I just got rid of this guy. And now I have this girl literally harassing me. It's exhausting. Like, I just want to get divorced. God, but you can't. You're going to be in each other's lives for the rest of your lives. And then Janet goes, well, I have some positive news. My birthday's coming up. I love this part of every reality show where we're going to talk about an event that's going to happen in the future for another episode. And she goes, I used to do this pre-COVID, but I really want to go to Dave and Buster's, which, by the way, I went to one of these during COVID. Well, no, it was like the tail end. It was people were masked up. It was 20. Anyways, yeah. Janet's a huge Dave and Buster's fan. Janet says, I wanted to ask what you think about inviting Jax because I feel like right now it's not aligned with what I want for him. And Brittany's like, either way, I'll be there 100%. So it's good. And Janet's like, and then Jesse is kind of like the same thing. And Michelle's like, same thing for me. So Janet's like, should I invite Jesse and Jax? But Jax will be in the facility, so she doesn't need to worry about Jax, right? Oh, God, just the stress, just dealing with all these stupid men. But once again, Brittany's just laughing about the thong. Like, she's like, it's not my problem. Not my problem at all. And now we go over to Zach's abode. And remember, he has the issue with Benji, who does, he has some visa issues with being in Canada, and he FaceTimes Benji. And Benji seems like a nice kid, and they're very cute together. Okay, so we have Brittany coming in with Cruz to the Couchie household, and we're once again assaulted by all the knickknacks. We see like crossed like stitching of like a Jax and Brittany and their wedding attire. We see a framed little thing that says, "This is our happy place," and we don't know where Jax is, but Cruz is already crying already, and he's like, "You want a banana?" And all the bananas are completely rotten, and he wants some milk. So she goes to the fridge to get some milk, and there's like a cup in there with like some girl's lipstick all over it. And we see like then the security cameras inside of the house have playing cards over them. So I'm guessing he put these up when the girls come over, right? So Brittany can't see. And then we see the photos of them as a family are turned around backwards on the bookshelves. Oh, that's dark as well. All darkness. But Brittany finds his cup like, oh my God, cup with lipstick on it. It would be crazy if there was like a thong in the cup. So you can see what Brittany's dealing with already. So Cruz got his bottle, and Cruz is just staring at the camera guy. And then all of a sudden, the golf cart, Jax has like a professional golf cart to drive around his Valley neighborhood, which that feels illegal as well. Like, I know in Arizona, like around my dad's place, but it's like a more of a retirement vibe. And there's like a golf course down the way, but like, this is like a tricked out golf cart. But Brittany's like, oh God, golf carts here. Uh-oh, golf carts here. That's just a wild sentence. And Jax comes in and goes, there he is. There's my little guy. And Cruz immediately turns around, and Jax is like really overly excited and like running at him, but it kind of looks like very scary. And Cruz is crying, and Jax picks him up and like, oh my God, miss you so much. And Brittany's like, don't kiss him on the face. Don't. And she's like, I don't want you kissing him on the face. He's like, why? He's like, because you had a disgusting girl ass here last night. And we see the footage of the security cameras, which I'm like, fuck yes, dude. We have access to these security cameras. Like, I'd watch a 42-minute episode of just security camera feed. Hell, if you put a closed caption camera outside of the Sur alleyway, I would watch it 24/7. Anyways, we see this girl leaving the house, and Jack goes, I didn't do anything. And Brittany goes, I don't know if you took a shower, so please don't kiss him on the face. And then Jack goes, were you with Julian last night? And Brittany goes, absolutely not. In a talking head, Jack goes, I just wanted to see Cruz, give him a big hug, big kiss. And then right off the bat, Brittany's coming at me. I know I invited Paige over, and we see the girl Paige. And guys, there's like Paige, and then there's like the big chesticles. Like oh my God, like this girl, it's a wild picture, right? He's like, I know I invited Paige over, and I know it's one of the rules I wasn't supposed to break, but she was breaking the rules too. The rules were, nobody that we knew. So he's saying, like, she broke the rules by dating Julian and sending sexy photos, so I'm going to break the rules and sleep with somebody on our bed. So Jax is still trying to communicate with Cruz. And Brittany's like, hey, Zuli, they have like a nanny. Can you take him to the park now, please? And I'm like, yeah, get this kid out of there, man. And Jax is like, Daddy's got to make some money right now. I got to do a scene with his mom. And Zuli leaves with Cruz, and Brittany's like, we need to have a conversation. He goes, I'm not talking to you. I got to go pack. You destroyed my life. Just says that. By the way, Cruz, actually, I take that back. Cruz and Julie are still there when he says this. You destroyed my life. And Brittany's like, yep, I did. That's right. In a talking head, he goes, I am going to a treatment center for 30 days. Okay, we got Cruz out of the house. He is safe. And he's upstairs, like, folding clothes again. And he's like, I'm spiraling out of control. And I don't know, maybe I'm blind, but I'm doing this for my son. I don't want her to take him away from me. And I have to do this, so she won't do that, then I'm going to do it. And then Brittany comes upstairs into the bedroom that, Jax is packing. He's like, go back to your boyfriend, Julian, who you've been hooking up with the last 5 months. And he goes, I'm not hooking up with him. Yeah, you have. Yes, you have. You hooked up with Julian for 5 months. And he goes, Jax? And Jax is like, I have it all documented. I have all the dates. And Brittany's like, Jax, there was a girl in my house this morning. And he goes, yes, there was. That is disgusting, Jax. She was in my spare bedroom. I love that he was like, I made her go into Cruz's room. I would never, no. Yeah, she came in here, but not in this bed. No. Even though this bed is better on my back. But no, made her the guest bedroom. And Brittany goes, well, that's my spare bedroom. That's my mom's room. And Jack goes, I don't care. You don't pay. You never paid one bill in this house. And Brittany goes, I pay all the bills of this house. You don't pay the mortgage at all. And she's like, so what? I pay the property taxes. I pay the same amount. I put the same amount of money down as you do, and I still pay the bills here. By the way, this is insane, though, when he can just like flat out lie and go, you don't pay anything. He goes, I do. What are you talking about? I still am paying. And he goes, you hook up with guys at your thing. And she goes, yeah, I have an Airbnb. She has a house. Why wouldn't you go there? And he goes, I was there. I love that. He goes, I was there as well. We have fucked at multiple locations. I went to Kentucky to your childhood home. I also did it at the Kentucky Castle with her. And Brittany's like, what are you doing? I don't even recognize who you are anymore. Who are you? He goes, I begged you to check on me, see how I'm doing. And Brittany's like, Jax, you scared me and you hurt me. And she's crying now. And Jax is just like, okay. And he goes, you need help. And he goes, you need help. And Brittany goes, I had to go to therapy because all this stuff you've done to me. I don't understand. And then Jax is like, if you were that miserable, you could have left years ago, sweetheart. All we do is argue and fight. And she's like, you are literally a terrible person. You need to go get help for yourself and for our son. He cannot grow up and become a person like you. And then Jax goes, I'll never forgive you for this. Never. I will say I did also notice he was packing a relatively small bag for 30 days. Because I was like, oh, he's going to want more than that. I did keep looking down at the bag because I was like, that's a very, you can you could pack. I got worried. But Brittany goes, I didn't make you throw chairs and punch holes in the walls. And Jax goes, oh my God. Oh, that's it. I'm done filming. Oh, I'm done with this. I'm done with it. This is toxic. And Brittany's like, I'm not toxic. You are. He goes, blame me, whatever. And Brittany's like, you have to take this seriously. Yeah, so you can go hook up with a bunch of other guys. And Brittany's like, I'm not hooking up with anybody. And trust me, I got people watching, so that's fine. So that, to my average ears, is a fucking threat. Who is watching for you? Like Tom Schwartz, I guess I gotta go watch Brittany now. Like, no! But Jax is like, fine, be on your way. In a talking head, Brittany goes, as mad as I am at Jax right now, I still hope that he stays for the entire 30 days. I hope that he takes it seriously, and I hope that he works on his mental health. I hope he works on his anger. And then Jax keeps screaming, she's gotta go! And Brittany in a talking head says he needs to focus on what actually matters, and that is our family. That is his son. And Brittany's downstairs now going, you can't take responsibility for anything. And she's now talking to the producer, and she's saying, he's going to go for one day and come right back. And then he's done. Jax has shut the door upstairs in the bedroom. He's like, Jesus Christ, this is toxic. Holy shit. Now downstairs, Brittany is kind of, you can tell, frightened and crying. She's like, I don't want to stay here. Like, can everybody come to my house? Talking to the producers and the camera people. And they're like, of course, of course, of course. Now Jax walks downstairs now, or he's walking like on the stairs. And he goes, sending pictures of my son to other men. I have all that. You think that's right? You think that's normal? In a talking head, Jax goes, she can hang out and hook up with somebody that's in my circle and send pictures of my son to him. But yet I can't have anybody over at the house when she's not there that's in a different room. Like, I love that he keeps going, the guest room. I did not let her use even any of the facilities. I said, go on the lawn. That's what type of guy I am. But I'm the bad guy? But then he goes, that's gaslighting. If anybody's a gaslighter, that's her. You know what it is? He's like a scary version of Michael Scott from The Office. Like a scary, if Michael Scott was scary as hell. Like, this is like, oh, that's gaslighting. No, that's not what it is. Like, that's crazy. Brittany goes, if you do not stay the 30 days, I'm filing right away. I'm taking Cruz, getting full custody, and I'm putting a restraining order against you. And you're going to lose your job. And he goes, you're lying. And she goes, you're crazy. You're actually crazy. And he has like a little roadie, not like of alcohol, but he's like walking, like getting ready to walk out the door. And now Jax is like yelling at the producer going, she does the same shit. She does the same shit. And Brittany goes, because you keep lying, you're a liar. And he's like, she's done the same shit. And Brittany goes, no, Jax, you have an addiction. And he goes, oh my God, I have nothing. And Brittany goes, and you need to be honest with the doctor, Jax. In a talking head, she goes, I am done protecting Jax. I am done. He is just spiraling out of control. He's gotten worse. I don't know if he's at rock bottom yet, but he's really freaking close. And then Jax is like starting to walk upstairs and she goes to the base of the stairs. Beautiful cinematic shot. We can see Brittany's face and his back. And Brittany's like, Jax, you have the coke problem. Everybody knows it. Boom, boom. Now, if we didn't have that Hot Mic podcast, this would be a huge reveal. Imagine if we did not have that Hot Mic podcast and this is where we found out, like, we would be jumping in our couches like, what? But it was already broken to us months ago. But Brittany's just saying, own up to it, Jax. Be real with the doctors. And then Jax goes, you've never done any? You've never done any coke? You've never skied? You never sloped? And Brittany goes, I'm not saying I've never done, but you are the one who has the addiction. I don't have an addiction. And she goes, give me a drug test right now. I will pass. Will you? Oh. And then he goes, I'm not doing this anymore. Brittany in a talking head says, Cruz deserves more. I deserve more. And it's just like, I just can't take it anymore. I've tried too hard. Yeah, I mean, Brittany really flew too close to the sun with Jax. Like, she really believed in this dude. Really believed in this dude. Saw his behavior through, I mean, everybody told her this, that. She was cheated on, blah, 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 blah. And really stood by this guy. Brittany says, you'll realize one day that I was the only one who actually loved you enough to hold you to it and actually get you help. In a talking head, Jax says, this is the worst I've ever felt in a very, very long time. And I didn't see this coming, he says. I didn't see this coming. So obviously he started partying after the separation probably, and the addiction kind of spiraled out of control, and he was drinking the girls, and I think his behavior just like, so when he started that, he thought he could keep everything going, right? Brittany's in the kitchen going, God, you can't take any criticism. He's terrible. Now she's texting Jason, like, where are you? Are you here? Jax is still packing this very tiny bag to go to the mental health facility. Brittany goes outside. She sees Jason. And Jason's like, so sweet. He's like, I'm sorry you're going through this. This is really tough. Hopefully he sticks it out, you know. And Brittany's like, it was bad. I was trying to have a conversation with him and he's screaming about is I hooked up with somebody. And I was just really wanting to tell him to like be honest about his partying, going out all the time, his rage, his anger. Like he wasn't listening to anything I was saying. Like, does Jax yell at these guys the way he yells at Brittany? But Jason goes, listen, I'll get him to this place safely. And Brittany goes, I don't know how I'm going to get through all this. I don't think people understand how like much of a relief it will be for him to be in a facility for 30 days. Like, this is going to be good for me. But she tells Jason, just try to calm him down, try to tell him to take it seriously. And then all of a sudden, Jax is like, he's still inside. He's like, oh, I lost my house key. Shit. I bet Julian has it. No, but he does. He's like looking for his house key. Jason in the talking head says, when you're dealing with checking into a mental health facility for 30 days away from your family, your friends, your life, it's got to be terrifying, right? And if he makes it through the entire 30 days, I'm going to be extremely proud of this guy. I'm going to give him an ice cream cake party. And Jack's in the car with Jason now. He goes, dude, I'm not going to lie to you right now. I'm a little scared. And Jason's like, what are you afraid of? Like, what, like, you know, are you in your anxious mind? You know, what are you thinking about? And he goes, I'm just missing out on things. I'm not going to see my son for a month. I'm not in the third episode potentially. But he says, I think with Cruz, and he's trying not to tear up in his talking head. He says, this is tough. He says, the main reason that I'm going to this place is for him. I know I'm supposed to do it for myself first, but it is really for him. And he tells Jason, I'm just so mentally just done. And Jason's like, clear your brain of all the shit on the outside. And he goes, I'm tired of arguing. I'm tired of fighting. I have nothing left in me. The only reason I'm doing this is because of, like I said, my son, and I took it out of proportion with the throwing things. You know, I made a mistake. I screwed up. But this is him like rationalizing it to himself. Like, oh, all I did was, and then we have the final talking head. He goes, yeah, my name is Jax Taylor, and I'm finally admitting that I need help. And he's looking at the camera. We see Jack step out of the car, you know, probably to this mental health facility. And it says, to be continued. And it doesn't look like we have a preview for next week. Okay, folks, we did it. I hope you have the best Thursday ever. I'm going to go over to Patreon and do the after show over there. But thank you for joining in. That was really intense, right? I want the best for everybody, but it is really hard when you see somebody on TV being a certain way for so many years and you see what he does to other people. Like, I really would be so curious. And somebody, Sandra was saying, oh, you got to have Valley cast members on and interview them. And I'm like, there's a couple, I just don't know, you know, because even I've always had like a no Jax rule on this podcast. Not that he's ever offered to be on the podcast, but you know, like you just don't want to be like, the best conversations are when somebody just doesn't bullshit you, you know, like you can, you know, like, or even if they're not allowed to talk about something that you can feel like there's a sense of honesty. Like I've heard Jax speak so many, like through the last decade, that there's a little bit of a show, or like he's really good with his words in his Jax sort of way. And you kind of just, you want a real conversation. And I don't know, like I would be interested in, I don't know, like I was just thinking about that, or, you know, Sandra was saying, oh, you should interview people from the Valley. And I was like, it's a hard show because like, what are you going to be able to get out of them? Bravo's going to clamp down on them, obviously. And you would just want to have a really honest conversation. And I don't think, you know, even just from recent interviews with Jax, I just don't think he is there yet. I don't know if he ever will be. And that's what worries me. It's a really tough watch. Like, we can kind of make fun of these little scenes here and there, but it's a tough watch overall. But anyways, I appreciate you guys being here. Come back tomorrow for a full Summer House recap. We're going to go off on Jesse Solomon. One day Jax, the next day Jesse. Bye, guys. Have a great Thursday.